Hello everyone, it's Timothy2009, and welcome to the final video of the Sharon Miller Cinematic Universe. Yes, this is the last movie before Andrew Brenner came along. And is, of course, Blue Mountain Mystery. Now, this might be the hardest video I've ever had to do in terms of the Sharon Miller movies, because I know this is probably going to be like a hot take, but I never saw Blue Mountain Mystery ever. I never watched it as a kid, and I still haven't watched it to this day. And I'm going to be honest, it's not that great. I know, big shocker. And I know you're probably wondering, why does someone like me not love one of the best Thomas and Friends movies to ever exist? Well, I'm going to explain for you. Now, I've seen trailers, I've seen a few clips here and there, and I've heard the songs, but that's about it. In terms of the actual story, I haven't seen it fully. But, yeah. So, again, this might be a bit of a hard video to make, but I'm going to try my best to, talk about what I do remember about this movie and the characters that are included, like Luke, Owen, and Merrick here. Because they do get more screen time later on throughout the series, but mostly Luke. And I'm going to explain all of my nitpicks with Blue Mountain Mystery and why I prefer, Hero of the Rails over this movie. Because, yes, I love Hero of the Rails. It's probably my favorite movie of the CGI series in terms of Sharon Miller. But I just think that the seasons that came after it were terrible. Sorry if I got tongue twisted. So let's not waste any more time, and let's actually dive into this movie. So first thing to note is that this is the return of the long-awaited narrow gauge engines. And everyone was, so excited to see these guys come back. And don't get me wrong, I do love the narrow gauge engines, and I will give Sharon Miller credit for actually switching them back to their personalities and not having Scarlowy acting all cowardly and childish. However, we all know the situation with the narrow gauge engines. They were all red in the Railway series, and for some reason they changed different colors in the TV series. I'm not going to waste my breath here and, just go on and ranting about these colors, because I've already talked about that in the narrow gauge engines video I did. Which was actually my first Bluebird Thomas review, fun fact. But, I gotta say, the narrow gauge engines in the CGI series, I mean, it's nice to see them come back, but y'all know that I prefer the Andrew Brenner era, so I'm just gonna talk about that. Duncan seems to be missing, but he was brought back in season 18, so don't worry. But, in actuality, the narrow gauge engines are just alright. I mean, they're nothing too special, they're still the same lovable guys from season 4. Not to mention, season 4 has to be one of the best in terms of the classic era. Mainly because of these guys. Now, have all ever been to, the Audrey Extravaganza before? Anyways. Blue Mountain Mystery. Okay, where do I start? Let's actually start off with, I guess I'll get the two obvious characters out of the way. We have Merrick and Owen. Okay, I think Owen has a little bit something more to do than Merrick does. These two don't really go anywhere because they're cranes. Merrick mostly. I don't know what type of machine Owen is. I'm sure someone might let me know in the comments below, but Merrick is just whatever. He's just alright, I guess. I mean, he does look cool. I won't deny that. But yeah. You just take one good look at him. That's all you really need to know. Owen, again, I don't know what type of machine Owen is, but he looks pretty unique. What I like about Owen is that he has this little, tunnel right here, so that way, you can put, an engine underneath it, if it's narrow gauge. I had to plug these two, tracks on top of Owen, because, I made him too low, and, it was just hard to get Luke to fit in, so. But, aside from that little flaw, I just really like how Owen and Merrick both came out. They do look pretty nice. I really love how Owen looks. And the fact that you can put an engine in here. Now, here's my biggest problem with Owen. When Thomas tries to catch up with Luke, he asks Owen to lift him up and put him on the narrow gauge tracks. Why Aren't you too big for the narrow gauge tracks, Thomas? Yeah. Again, I really don't like how Thomas acts in the Sharon Miller era because of how stupid he is and how ignorant he is. And basically prejudiced towards, like, Devious Diesel from Misty Island Rescue. I've already talked about that, so. Again, Thomas doesn't make the best decisions in Blue Mountain Mystery. Number one, he goes on the narrow gauge tracks, but here's my biggest problem with Thomas. And here's the biggest problem I have with Blue Mountain Mystery as a whole. This innocent little green engine named Luke is being framed for a crime he didn't commit intentionally. Let me explain. So, Luke basically tells the story that he and this yellow engine were traveling to the island of Sodor. But when Cranky lifts Luke up, Luke accidentally bumps into the yellow engine and the yellow engine falls into the sea. And now Luke is worried that he might get sent away if people find out that he's the culprit. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Okay, wouldn't it technically be Cranky's fault, since Cranky is the one who lifted Luke and pushed him into Victor? Yeah, I get that Luke wanted to go first. I completely understand that, but still, Cranky was the one who was lifting him, so Luke didn't have any control. He couldn't move on his own with his wheels. He couldn't do anything but then just be lifted up in the air. Cranky is the one who pushed Luke into Victor. So why isn't everyone questioning Cranky? And why isn't everyone saying Cranky did it? And shouldn't Cranky feel a little bit guilty that he knocked the yellow engine into the sea? I mean, this is a huge crime, but everyone's just accusing Luke for some reason. With this cute little engine, wouldn't hurt a fly. And no, I'm not just quoting Thomas and the Magic Railroad, but you get my point. And then, I just think Luke is a cute character. I love his, design. His face is very adorable, and I especially love the fact that he's Irish. Much like Thomas Theorist. And he's named after Usual Bloke Luke, who are two of my favorite Thomas Friends YouTubers to this day. Which, you should all subscribe to Usual Bloke Luke, and you should also subscribe to Thomas Theorist, because Ernie! That's the second Underground Ernie joke I made on this YouTube channel. Anyways, yeah. Back to Luke. So, another problem I have... Okay, here's the other biggest thing I have with Blue Mountain Mystery, aside from Luke being framed. So, Luke basically tells Thomas that he has to keep this a secret. But we all know how dumb Thomas is throughout the Nitrogen era, so we know that he's going to screw up big time. Spoilers and subtle foreshadowing. Then Thomas tells, Victor about Luke. Thomas asks Victor, if he knows about the yellow engine. And I think the disappointing moment for me is, the yellow engine could have been anyone, but it had to be Victor. I do like Victor's backstory. Sorry about that. Victor actually has a nice backstory. And, he used to speak Spanish before he even spoke English. And he's actually the one who fell in the sea, and he was the yellow engine. So when Luke basically pushes Victor into the sea, Victor was stuck there for a few days. But with the help of, the people at the docks, he was rescued. And then Victor went back to, the steamworks to be repainted. And the first English word he spoke was red, which I thought was pretty sweet. And it's nice to know how we got to see how Victor became who he is today. And again, I love David Bedella's performance. He has a better job than Matt Wilkinson. And then, I think the biggest, problem, I think the worst moment for me is, when Thomas, spills the beans and tells everyone that Luke is innocent, and, he talked to Victor and told Luke what happened when he was being unloaded from the ship. And then we get the infamous quote, "What did you do?" And then the narrow gauge engines basically, run away from Thomas, and Luke especially. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like how Thomas is trying to catch up with Luke, but still, he could have done something better than, go on the narrow gauge tracks, because he's too big. Then he derails, because of course he does, and he's stuck in danger. Oh no! But I'm glad Luke has the courage to, rescue Thomas. It has the heart, even though Thomas basically messed up big time. At least Luke's forgiving. Personally, if I was Luke and Thomas basically exposed me, I would just, not talk to him anymore. And then they both fall down from Owen, and Victor tells Luke about that he is the Yellow Engine and even speaks Spanish right in front of him. Renes gets a new coat of paint and a Bachmann model, Cranky goes to jail for attempted murder, and Diesel is promptly thrown in the sea. The end. Okay. So that's about it for the Blue Mountain Mystery Review. And thank God we're done with the Sharon Miller movies. Let's forget these ever existed and move right along with our lives because we have Andrew Brenner and his amazing movies, King of the Railway and Sorcerer's Legend of the Lost Treasure. So yeah, I mean, this video is a little bit shorter than my other videos, like I've done with like Hero of the Rails, Misty Island Rescue, and David Diesels. I just really had very little to say about Blue Mountain Mystery, but if you do like this movie, I can get why. Just tell me your reasons in the comments below. I mean, I will give Blue Mountain Mystery credit. They brought back the narrow gauge engines, who are some of the best characters in the franchise. They introduced Luke, who is a cute little narrow gauge engine. I just wish he wasn't framed. And again, I really don't like how Thomas acts in the Sharon Miller era, because how stupid he is. But thankfully, Andrew Brenner made him back to being mature and cheeky. And Andrew Brenner still made a lot of great episodes, even giving Luke more screen time. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more Bluebird, Thomas, and Friends reviews. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.